Howdy folks, Timber Drifter here. Savinelli pot, don't know the number, it's not stamped on there. Brad at Pipes and Kayaks sent me that. And I've smoked, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 bowls, I'm not sure. Not really doing a review on it. Plenty of reviews on Presbyterian mixture. I'm just smoking it. In fact, it's getting dark here. I got all set up to make this video when I was finished with what I was doing and got my bowl packed and lit up and ended up just sitting here kind of getting lost in the smoke and the changing daylight and the storm blowing in. Presbyterian mixture is a good one for that. It's got a lot of flavor. I like Oriental tobacco. I believe this has Macedonian leaf in it. Don't quite know what varieties of that. Doesn't matter. Tastes good to me. Orientals are always interesting if they don't smoke hot. Just enough Latakia to kind of smooth out the Orientals a little bit. Get a little bit of that woody, smoky note. But I think the bulk of it is probably Virginia. I think that's all that's in it. I think it's Virginia Orientals and Latakia. First couple pipes of it I packed up. Kind of gave me a little tongue bite. Not bad, just sort of a few little spots here and there had some irritation. I thought, oh, that's unpleasant. That doesn't bode well. So I switched to a filter pipe and tried that. Still had the same thing happen. For me, that's probably the Virginias that's the problem there. A lot of Virginias irritate my tongue. And there's a handful that don't. But when in doubt with an English blend, I always switch to a larger bowl like this. Larger tobacco chamber. Solve the problem. No more biting. Just a smooth, interesting smoke. And I've really been enjoying this in the evenings. It's like a kind of a proper end to the day. This is a filter pipe, but I usually don't smoke it with a filter in. Smokes just fine without one. Easy to clean out with a Q-tip or a wad of paper towel. My current preferred adult beverage. In fact, I like the all 4 offerings of this available at my local liquor store. This is the driest one, and I prefer a dry cider. I don't care for the sweet ciders. And unfortunately, the cider boom is over, at least in these parts. You can really only get Angry Orchard, Woodchuck, Cider Boys, Strongbow. Strongbow's okay, and Stella cider, but all those are too sweet for me. Way too sweet. Tastes like some apple soda pop. None of my business. A few years ago, you could walk into a liquor store around here and pick up 10 different kinds of cider. It's unfortunate that it's kind of gone 10 different kinds of good cider. It's unfortunate that it's kind of gone out of style. But I like this one. Very pleased with it. Very tart and crisp. As far as the Presbyterian mixture, I'd buy it. Probably will. Thanks, Brad. So we had a very nice break in the weather for over a week, I think. Had some days in the 70s and nights when I slept with the windows open and didn't even fire the wood stove up, and it's November. That is just as odd as having as much snow as we did in October. I remember ever experiencing this kind of warmth sustained in early part of November. But I have enjoyed it, and it has given me a second chance to get my yard all cleaned up and things stashed away and wood stacked and wrap up a few projects before the real snow comes. Winter is coming. In fact, this might be it right now. Yesterday we had a lot of high winds, even though the wind was quite warm. A lot of high winds. Same today. A little bit of rain today. It's the kind of high winds that come in a sudden gust as if moving before a front. And it's knocking down some of these elder balsam firs in here. The ants tend to eat into the balsam firs once they get to a larger size and compromises them structurally, and they snap off. Like this one right here behind me, you can see the stump of it right there is just snapped off. I didn't chop that down. The axe is just stuck in it. So they fell across my trail and made a bit of a mess in here. I call this little section of woods Grouse Hill. It's getting dark, so it'll be hard to see, but this double trunk large spruce there, a little bit of a mound. And for the first few years that I lived here, there was a male grouse that did his drumming right here. So to me, this will forever be Grouse Hill. But I'm just in here cleaning up these balsams that have come down. I have a double bit that I use for that. This is an interesting one. I found this axe outside, just the head, near an old stump. The handle was there too, and it was rotted away to nothing, broken off from the head. So I figure, based on the amount of pitting on this side, that somebody stuck that in a stump and then left it for 20 or 30 years, and it literally rotted away and fell apart. And I didn't really change anything here, other than I cleaned the rust off of it, and I just polished and sharpened the bevels that already existed on it. It's kind of a traditional setup here. This is a thicker edge, shorter bevel, that's good for chopping near to the ground where there may be unexpected or expected hard objects that would damage your edge, or popping branches off or chopping through balsam knots. And this edge is much finer for throwing good chips when actual chopping things apart or felling. I put the handle on it, and normally with a double bit I would thin that handle out quite a bit. But this one I just left stout. It's a heavy head. I think it's a Kelly. True Temper. Can't quite read it. I think it says True Temper Kelly Works, and then on this side it has, I believe it says handmade. It's got like a picture of a blacksmith or something. Well, it's a good axe for what I use it for, which is clearing trail and taking down, chopping up trees that have come down on their own. And I either swing it like a sledgehammer or a golf club, which is a little different than how I normally use a double bit. Since it's quite heavy and I'm often taking big chips out of whatever I'm chopping, I'll swing it like a sledgehammer just as hard as I can. And otherwise, or swing it like this, like a golf club, and rock it like a pendulum. Let the weight do the work, popping branches off on down timber. I've got my double barrel out here too, which I usually just keep around. In case I see a snowshoe hare. I don't hunt grouse this close to the house. My house is just right over there. So you may find it interesting that the name of that shotgun is Handsome Joe Biden. It doesn't have anything to do with this presidential race or current politics or anything. That comes from something back in 2013. I think that's when it was. If I was going to talk about it, I didn't think about this, or I would have looked it up to get the quote correct and the context and all that. But anyway, that's my double barrel. You've probably seen it before in a video or two. Stoeger Uplander 12 gauge. So back in 2013, Joe Biden was asked a question at some kind of a forum. I don't remember the entire circumstances, but somebody asked him about, do you think banning certain magazine capacities or semi-automatic weapons or something like that would impair the ability of families to protect themselves? I think something like that. You all can look this up on your own. And his reply was something effective. You don't need an AR-15 to defend yourself. Then he said something like, I said, get a shotgun, get a double barrel shotgun, and the shells, 12 gauge. I said, like I told my wife Jill, if there's ever a problem, just step out on the balcony and get that 12 gauge and fire off a couple of both barrels, and I assure you whoever was going to come in isn't. Something like that. So you don't need an AR-15 to defend yourself. It's hard to aim, hard to control, and you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself. Well, that's quite comical to me. You guys should look that up. I'm sure there's clips of it on the internet. I've brought that up to various people over the years, and they always say, Joe Biden never said that. Go look it up. It's pretty funny, actually. He started out with some good advice, and then he totally wrecked it. Another time he told people to shoot through the door, or told a person to shoot through the door. Don't ever do that. But anyway, I'm getting off the rails here. But I will say this. I would not step out on my balcony and fire off 2 rounds if there was a problem, expecting people to leave. Obviously, the threat hasn't been identified, and you've now shown yourself, and you're standing there with an empty gun outside your house with your ears ringing. Probably can't hear anything. It's a terrible idea. But a double-barrel shotgun's not a bad idea. And so, since Joe said get a shotgun, I went out and got one. Took me a couple of years to find one that worked for me. The barrels were regulated properly. I could hit with it, and it was sturdy enough. It worked. I bought this one used. It was lightly used, and it hits where I aim it. Never had a problem with it. Of course, I've never had to use it for self-defense, thankfully. Killed some grouse with it, killed some snowshoe hare, a few squirrels. Blown up some paint cans and pop bottles filled with water, shot steel targets, and lots of rotten produce like pumpkins. Shotgun is good fun. And useful. But that was just comical to me, so when I got this shotgun, I named it Handsome Joe Biden in honor of his terrible advice that he almost got right. So, hope Joe's taking care of himself. He's the president-elect. He's got a little ways to go before he's really the president. And he is in the middle of a nest of scheming bastards. He's one too, but a little bit diminished, I think. But I hope he's staying in the basement and Joel's keeping that shotgun handy. Hope they're not eating any food that anybody brings over. Anyway, I just hope they're staying safe. That's all I'll say about that. Well, yeah, Joe Biden's advice, get a shotgun, get a shotgun. Well, I got the shotgun. I'm still working on getting that balcony. Well, y'all take care. Get outside if you can.